Hello, and welcome to another reclusive episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts. I've lost about 105 pounds. And
wait, what was that?
105 pounds.
I think there must be something wrong with the microphones because I can't really hear what you're. Oh yeah, okay,
post.
All right.
Hi, I'm Katherine Weigel. I've lost about 145 pounds. There, I said it.
Yeah,
that
is nothing to sneeze at, especially right now.
I know it's hay fever season.
We don't sneeze at things.
Don't sneeze at things. Don't cough at things. But with me today is
Donald Weigel, and I have lost about 100 pounds. I'm also vague about that as well. I go up and down in about a 5-pound range.
Yeah, but we're here. We're inspiring. We're here to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
we're going to get loopy. Woo! Loopy, loopy, loopy.
Really today, before we go into...
Oh, not loopy. Loopholes.
Those are different. Those are different than donut holes.
Oh,
different
I got
than
it wrong
rabbit
again.
Holes.
I got it wrong again.
You're fine. But we're... This episode is coming out in the time of the big letter C.
Yes.
We all know what the big letter C is.
The C word.
The C word.
The C word that we're all familiar with, and that is COVID-19.
Yeah. Do you remember in St. Elmo's Fire where they were at a dinner table and they were talking about cancer, which is terrible, but they were like, the C word.
The C word, yeah.
C word has been replaced.
I so don't remember that. No.
Oh.
I know I did see St. Elmo's Fire. It's a classic.
It's a classic. Yeah, COVID, it's here, it's happening, and I don't know when it's going away, kind of like somebody who comes to visit without a return ticket.
Yeah, I have a couple of confessions to make before we really get rolling, though. The first one is that even though you won't hear this on Easter Sunday, we're actually recording it on Easter Sunday, but I have, thanks to my wife, the Christmas song Dominic the Donkey stuck in my head.
You know, that traditional holiday classic.
So if I'm a little bit off my game today, it is because I am singing Dominic the Donkey, Dominic the Christmas Donkey song to myself.
Jiggity jig. If you haven't heard it, you're missing out.
And number two, I haven't actually even talked to Catherine about this, but I have what is sort of a COVID story that makes me look really bad to share.
Okay, let's go there.
So
we got nowhere else to go.
We had, when this all started, 6 weeks ago or whatever it was, we had a pretty healthy stash of liquid soap. And we were talking to Catherine's parents yesterday via Zoom, and they brought up, we were talking about liquid soap, and I have been in a mild panic for about a week because we are getting low on liquid soap now, and I'm like, I can't find it anywhere. They don't have it at the store. They don't have it on Target.com. It's not on any.
It is like
it's not on Amazon.
The sacred oil of Hanukkah.
Nobody has liquid soap, and we're talking to them, and Catherine goes, "Oh, yeah, but I bought like a whole bunch of bars of Dove soap," and I was like, it never occurred to me that one could still purchase bars of soap.
It's old-fashioned.
It's old-timey. We're going to go back to the days of yesteryear when people used bars of soap. And I was like, bars of soap? We can actually use bars of soap. That will be fine. And I suddenly was like, this really weird wave of relief washed over me, and also a wave of me feeling like a dum-dum because it never occurred to me to use bars of soap.
Well, I know it is an ancient tradition.
Yeah.
But our daughter, about a week ago, Donald had a CD sitting out, and he said something about burning a CD. And
I have some CDs that I've been ripping, and I was like, I still have a few CDs that I don't have digitally, and
I'm gonna burn them. And she's like, "What do you?" Our daughter's like, "What's burning a CD? What's that about? Is that some ritual?"
She said that she had no idea what burning a CD or ripping a CD even meant.
So just as she is not familiar with floppy disks, Donald is not familiar with bars of soap. Your Irish Springs,
forgotten that bars
Ivories.
of soap existed.
No, but I love Dove soap because my grandmother used to use it, and so it reminds me of her. So
I'm looking forward to getting reacquainted with it.
We went to the Heinz Museum in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania a few years ago, and I bought myself, I have a thing about buying little bars of soap, like on vacation because that's super fun.
Yeah. Bars.
Easily.
I mean, because cleanliness is really your thing.
But they had at the Heinz Museum, they had a Mr. Rogers exhibit, and they had little bars of soap with Mr. Rogers on it that said you can never go down the drain. And I thought it was delightful, and it was like a $2 souvenir, so why not?
That's pretty awesome.
But we have it in one of our bathrooms, and I keep looking at it as like, if we get through this without using the bar soap from Mr. Rogers, we're going to be fine.
That'll be like The Walking Dead, like the last bar of soap that desperation that we use.
The worst part is I want to hide it from Donald so that he doesn't know that I have this bar of soap.
She's already hiding stuff from me. I'm wondering where you're hiding the Kit Kats now.
You are the one hiding the Kit Kats,
the
not me.
secret Twix.
You need to hide them from me because I will come after those. But no, I have a bar of soap in the top drawer next to my bed, just letting you know.
All right.
I have one, like an ornamental one that looks like just a trinket. So we've got bars of soap.
I like how we
have
to get on a microphone before we can actually have conversations with one another. This is
I don't know.
good stuff.
You don't know that I have bars of soap hidden around the house?
I really didn't.
They smell. It's like a lovely potpourri for my socks.
I had no idea.
So
it's pronounced potpourri.
Oh,
so
thank you, Alex Trebek.
Yeah, I need to correct you on that. Hey, so now that we're done with a whole bunch of silly nonsense,
soap corner.
Just to get a little more serious for a minute here, I just wanted to preface this episode by saying that we are coming from a place of privilege in a lot of ways. I mean, not that we're living in some fancy mansion taking Scrooge McDuck dives through pools of gold coins.
We have soap bars, not bars of gold.
Yeah, exactly. But Catherine still has her job. I do not have mine, but we are, so far fine. We are sheltering in place. But we are not dealing with the direct effects of somebody we love having COVID. We're not, frontline hospital workers. If you're somebody who still is having to, risk their life, or you're, desperately worried about finances or something, this is not really for you.
Yeah.
I mean, we applaud you so much for listening to this episode.
But you're going to think we're really shallow as we move forward.
Rolling your eyes. We are talking about, what you can do to maintain your health and fitness, staying on your meal plan, keeping up with your exercise during these unusual times. And I realize that for many people, on your Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're not going to get that deep on it. You're more worried about where your next meal is coming from, or worried about not catching it when you go to work. So just wanted to say we get it. We understand. That is not what this episode is about. This episode is more about, me and a lot of the people I know who are just sort of at home and everything else is fine. And that people who are just basically eating or drinking themselves into stupors right now.
Good times. No, but we know that we are coming from a place of privilege. If you are seriously struggling right now, we did an episode called Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs, I think it was, or the Pyramid Scheme, it was called, where we talk about how you need to have your base needs met before you can go on to more superficial things. So that might be an episode for you. But we honestly really appreciate everything that the world is doing right now to stick together. So as we move forward into the Yuck Yuck comedies, we just wanted to preface it by saying that. So thank you very much.
All right. And that concludes the serious portion of this episode.
It does.
So Catherine,
yes,
I understand that recently you were a good Samaritan.
I was. Everyone knows that everything I do is done without hope of reward. I'm just a selfless person.
It's so true.
But
so true.
As we know, no good deed goes unfed. So, so I'm part of a COVID community group, big letter C word for our community. And someone said, "Hey, I need baking powder." I didn't know if I had baking powder or baking soda, but I took that as a call to arms to go through our cabinet to see if we had any baking powder.
Literally no one knows the difference between baking soda and
please don't try to tell me, because that's not what this is about.
Yeah, do not look it up on the internet and pretend like you already knew. You didn't. You looked it up and then you wrote to us about it. We don't want that. We know no one knows the difference.
Well, I am just sharing my personal shame with you. I don't need you to fix my problem. Right. But it turns out I did have baking powder. So
I'm going to get a t-shirt that says that. I'm just sharing my personal shame with you. I don't need you to fix my problem.
No, but we did an episode on that too.
I know.
Because we talk about everything. So I socially distanced myself and brought some baking powder to an undisclosed location and met up with someone and gave them baking powder because they were going to bake. Goodness knows I'm not going to bake because I know that that's bad for me. So I don't need the baking powder. But as revenge, the kind person gave me a box of Girl Scout cookies.
As revenge.
And suddenly loopholes started dancing in front of my eyes like sugar plums on Christmas Eve. And I took the Girl Scout cookies and I thought to myself, I can moderate these. They're for the whole family.
Liar.
This is one box and I will share it with the
incorrect.
family. Because I walked like 10 minutes from our house to meet this person. And all the way home, everything went through my head. Do I hide them? Do I eat them all on the way home? I can moderate them? Do I hide them in the bushes?
These are clearly the thoughts of a person who can control herself around.
Right. I'm an internet inspiration, so I can totally control myself. So I brought them home. I announced it to the family, but not like, I got cookies, everybody. It went fine. I wasn't catfished on the internet. Put them in the closet. And I was like, I'll have 3 after dinner. And then about 20 minutes later, I was like, well, I should check to see if they're not stale. I mean, I'm not what if this awful person gave me stale Girl Scout cookies?
Yeah, that would be terrible.
So I think day 1 I did okay, but by day 2 they're mint, so you gotta have minty breath, and it basically like who needs toothpaste? I'm saving resources.
They're mint. They're practically a plant, which makes them a vegetable.
It's like a green smoothie for sure. And so also St. Patrick's Day didn't go great, and they're minty, so it's like a shamrock shake. So I'm basically giving back to the world. All these loopholes went through my head. About 2 days later, when a sleeve and a half were already gone and I had eaten them all and the family had not eaten any, I realized I was invoking loopholes and that I needed to part ways with these little delicious treats. So I threw them in the trash, posted a video on Facebook about it. But it turns out in this time of despair, food is still not the answer. I'm not a new person who can suddenly control myself just because I've lost 140 blah, blah, blah pounds. I still have the same issues that I did before all of this COVID stuff started. And
whatever the question is, eating a bunch of junk food is not the answer to it.
No. And so as we enter the second month of this pandemic, we realized we did an episode on loopholes.
Yeah, we actually did a 2-parter like way back in the long ago. It was episodes 11 and 12 of this show.
Which is crazy. I'm sure it sounds like all old-timey. Like we're like, today on We Only Look Thin.
you play it and it's like a Victrola.
Bing Crosby still.
We sound like this for some reason.
Penny whistles.
Woo, woo, and there's like scratches in it for some reason.
Exactly.
Yeah. But this is
it really doesn't sound very good back then.
This episode will actually be episode 119.
That's crazy town.
And it is coming out on the 19th. And we're calling it Loophole 19.
But guess what? We came up with the name Loophole 19 first. Like, Loophole 19 sounds dangerous. Yeah. It's like Professor X. Like, ooh, X. Like, that sounds dangerous.
Loophole 19.
Loophole 19. So this episode is specifically about, now that we're 95 minutes into it, thanks for hanging in there, we are going to talk about loopholes we invoke during this time of crisis. We did that episode based on Gretchen Rubin's loopholes back at the beginning.
Yeah, friend of the show, Gretchen Rubin, has a list of 10 loopholes that people use to either, hers aren't weight loss specific, but we sort of took them and made them all about weight loss and weight gain. And it's the excuses that we tell ourselves for not doing a habit or for indulging in a treat when we know that we really shouldn't. But we try and give ourselves a license to do these things, even though our better selves know that we shouldn't.
Right. So I realized that as I was hiding Girl Scout cookies in my mouth, that ended up being a bartering loophole, which is sort of the freebie first loophole that we'll discuss today. Because here I was giving away baking powder because goodness knows I'm not going to bake. But then I proceeded to eat 1,000 calories worth of Girl Scout cookies. So if you're in a time of bartering, like for toilet paper, and someone gives you a package of Chips Ahoy, like maybe don't do that. Like I am still the same person I was before, and I can't magically control my habits. I know we did an episode recently where I even talked about not buying Girl Scout cookies because I can't control myself. And I'm still that person. I'm not suddenly like, oh, I'm new and improved Jan Brady. Like, yeah, I'm still going to eat all the cookies in secret because that's what I do. So,
So we have come up with a list, and by we, I mean mostly Catherine, has come up with a list of 10 COVID-specific loopholes and we're calling it Loophole 19.
Because that just sounds like scary. But
there's 10 of them.
Like Ice 9.
We're going to... Oh, yeah, Ice 9. That's a great book. And that's Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut, by the way. Anyway.
Friend of the show.
So, Catherine, you've basically masterminded this whole thing. Why don't you start us off with the first loophole?
Here's the problem. If nobody likes the loopholes, they're just going to blame me, and you're going to be sitting pretty over there. So,
yeah, no, they'll like them.
Okay, so this is a loophole that I have seen on the interwebs, and I have decided to call it the Pioneer Woman loophole.
Oh.
Or also the Little House on the Prairie loophole.
Yeah.
We're all sheltering in place. And suddenly, people need baking powder.
Yeah.
Because they are going to bake for their families.
Everyone's baking homemade bread because it's such a pain to go buy it at the store.
Everyone has sourdough starter. Suddenly, people are leaving buckets of sourdough starter on flagpoles. Like, I have seen that. And baking is what got me into this mess. Like, I took a baking class 15 years ago, and then I think I talked about this. I started making scones and biscuits every day and eating them all because Donald wasn't interested in them.
Yeah.
And I mysteriously gained 50 pounds. I don't know how I did it.
Listen, we know they are delightful treats, but you don't have to have them right now.
Well,
like, scarcity of goods at the store does not mean you should be stuffing your face with banana muffins.
Well, and it too, I get it. People don't want to go to the store, but the problem is we have eating disorders, and delicious baked homemade bread will be eaten by me probably in a day or two. We go to the grocery stores on a very limited basis. They've got lots of bread. There's lots of bread at the grocery store. I know it feels comforting and soothing to spend time in the kitchen and bake and do something with your hands and take up the time, but you're going to spend less time baking than you are going to be eating it all in one sitting, because that's what I do. So watch out for that loophole of that. It's wholesome. It's whole food.
Yeah.
But it's from scratch. Why am I gaining weight?
Just because it's homemade does not mean it's low fat or low calorie. Well, and typically it's the opposite of that.
Well, and if you're like churning your own butter and you don't want it to go bad fast, so you eat all the butter now so it doesn't go bad, like, the loophole, that from scratch farm to table situation.
I ordered a butter churn from Amazon, by the way.
I'm not surprised. But if you're like farm to table to my mouth, or from farm directly into my mouth.
Farm to my mouth.
But it's true. Like, we made muffins for our daughter, and I think the first day I had 2, because why not? It's COVID. Like, YOLO, eat it all. So please watch yourself. Please know that you have an eating disorder just like me. And this is not the time to revenge gain for the cause. You're not making a victory garden.
Right.
You're just baking as an excuse to eat the food, because that's what I do. I'm not adding you, I'm adding me. And if you're listening, then,
And speaking of old-timey references, I'm going to end up sounding like a broken record, but...
A broken Victrola.
One of the reasons we are...
A wax cylinder.
Exactly. The main reason that we are pointing out these loopholes is so that you can recognize them when you do them. And for me... recognizing that I am lying to myself is half, 3/4 of the battle to not doing it. Just being honest with myself. when I, go to have a home-baked muffin or something, and I'm telling myself that I should do it because of the situation right now. I can't go buy it at the store. I know that's a lie. I know what actually it is that I just really want to stuff my face with muffins.
Well, and two, we're all separated from our families, and I'll keep this short because we have like 95 more loopholes to go. We don't have 19 loopholes, so that's good. At least that's just the name of the episode. At least there aren't
19 of them, yeah.
But your grandmother used to bake, and we have photos of you baking with your grandmother, and it feels like history. It feels like a connection. If you're making a recipe that was your grandmother's recipe,
for sure.
If you're making some family like pierogies like we had the other night, which I just bought from Costco because, that's basically like going to the home country. But it makes you feel closer to those you love. Unfortunately, we still have eating disorders, and we can gain our way back up the scale just to feel closer to our family. So remember who you are. Remember you are a person managing a chronic condition, and I chronically overeat in secret if I am left to do it. So don't become a pioneer woman. You're not Laura Ingalls Wilder. You're not Nellie Olson. Get away from the kitchen. Do something else. Watch Little House on the Prairie. Don't eat the house on the prairie.
All right. What's the next one, dear?
The next one is local business loophole.
Wow. I didn't know you had a theme song for it.
So we are all trying to support our local businesses. We know why things are shut down. We don't want our beloved restaurants and cafes and shops to close down. And so we want to support them by buying their food.
But guess what we want even more? An excuse to stuff our faces with takeout and delivery food.
It is so hard because I get notices on Facebook from local companies or, local restaurants saying like, hey, we're still open and we'll, give you a free extra slice of cheesecake if you come by and get our food. And it's so compelling because we want to support our community. Like, I'm not kidding.
For sure. I know. You're making me sad just hearing you talk about it like that.
Businesses to survive and those that are struggling and might not come back. But here is the problem. We have eating disorders.
Yeah, then I remember that I used to be 100 pounds heavier than I am right now, and I remember how I got that way, and it was from having takeout all the time. And that was even before it was so easy to get everything delivered.
No, we were, in the before time, the BC before COVID / before we got our health together, we used to eat out all the time. And it feels like you're doing a service to your community, but really it's a loophole. If you're us, it might be okay for other people. Like my dad and stepmom were lamenting that they weren't going out to eat much.
Yeah.
And I was like, we have eating disorders and don't do that. So we have limited, as an answer to this, Donald and Catherine, what do I do now that I know that I'm invoking a loophole? I'm glad you asked, dear listener. Pick a day out of the week to get takeout.
Yeah.
Pick one day on Saturday nights, we get one delivery.
Yeah, we're in week 5 now or something. We've done it twice.
Yeah.
And so, I don't feel so bad about that. So we're doing it slightly more than I think we ordinarily would.
I don't think we eat out twice a month in the normal days.
Yeah. But we're not going crazy with it either.
Well, and you can also, if you're really feeling altruistic, you could buy a gift certificate to a local restaurant and give it to a teacher that you care about or a medical worker who might want some extra help. You can buy a gift certificate to use in the future, which I know is, touch and go, but we can be a part of our community without feeling like we're the ones who have to solve the problem. Yeah. I went to a taping of a late night show and the audience rouser was like, you've got to clap and cheer like you're 1,000 people yourself. You've got to whatever. And I took it very seriously and was like, I'm going to clap loudly for everyone. Like, it's not your sole job to fix your community. There are 100,000 other people in a 10-mile radius who will help you do that. You have an eating disorder. It is not your job to fix everything. Know your limitations, know your triggers, and be very honest about them because it is going to be even more magnified in this time of crisis.
The next one is the Dole Whip loophole.
What?
And again, I did not come up with this, but I did see it. So, like, Disney has posted their Dole Whip recipe as well as
you watched the video the other day.
Yeah, their churro recipe, and I think you have some other ones written down there too.
Doubletree has released their secret cookie recipe.
Yeah,
and like it feels like the treasures of the universe are opening up to us, and now we can enjoy.
I can't actually go to Disney and get this stuff, but I could make it at home.
Well, and it makes you feel like you are connected to things that you love in society. I love traveling and staying at Doubletree because I get cookies. I love the Disney experience of going and getting the beloved treats. I love watching my favorite chef on, do an Instagram live about how to make mac and cheese at home with what you've got in the fridge. We want to feel connected to the things that we love. And experiencing that through the food that we connect those places with, it makes us feel closer. Donald, you were looking up lava flow recipes the other day, weren't you? I don't mean to out you on national television, but
we have a digital photo frame, and it brought up some photos from a trip we did to Hawaii in which we were drinking lava flows, which is a tropical drink that has lots and lots of calories in it. It's red sugar
with, I don't know, cheap
And I was like, I wonder if I could have the ingredients to make a lava flow at home.
Aloha. No.
And I didn't actually do it, but holy cow, that would be a disaster if I did.
The lava flow is lava. So we want to feel connected to the things that we love because we're stuck in the house. And what I suggest is turn it around. Watch a video about the place you love. We actually have Disney Plus, and we watch the Imagineer documentary series.
If you have any affinity to the Disney parks at all, the Imagineering documentary series on there, it's 6 episodes. It is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's the ups and downs of the Disney Corporation, but it really made us feel connected to the rides that we love and the experiences that we love without having to eat churro dust, which I would definitely do, or pixie dust. If you love a particular chef, instead of cooking along with them, read their biography, read one of their books. I read the Julia Child biography a year or two ago, and it was amazing to see the world through her eyes without actually having to make all of the recipes.
Yeah.
You can also reminisce with friends about the places that you've gone together. Send a postcard. Hey, remember when we went wherever and we had lava flows? That was really fun. I can't wait to do that again. Hey, I can't wait for us to go back to Disneyland again. I can't wait for us to go to Dutch Wonderland. I can't, wait to go back and have a cocktail at our favorite bar.
Yeah, you can still actually write letters and send postcards or at the very least emails to people right now.
Yeah, so reminisce. You can also post reviews of your favorite restaurants or locations to Facebook. We went to a place before all of this shut down, and I made sure to post a really nice review for them. So stay connected by giving back a little bit, sharing good memories, but you don't have to share all the food in your mouth, because I'm guessing that a lava flow in our living room is not going to taste as delicious as it was in the balmy 85-degree perfect flip-flop experience that we had before. So save it for the memories, not for regret.
And thankfully, I realized before it was too late that was a really bad idea to do. And speaking of doing things that your spouse is doing, the next one Catherine is calling / we are calling Pound for Pound.
Pound for Pound. This one actually came to us from one of our dear members of Wolt Place, WOLT Place.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat what my cohort is eating. I am sheltering in place with someone,
domestic partner, person I'm sheltering in place with.
Child, your puppy, whoever. You want to eat what they are eating because we're all in this together. Maybe you've already had breakfast. Maybe you've already had something, but then they decide they want to make pancakes and you want to be social and they're eating it, so you should eat it too. Watch out for that double dip. I was the queen of the secret eat, then eat with people. As you know, listen to every episode of We Only Look Thin. I talk about it, but that instinct to want to go pound for pound with the people that we're with is really a dangerous loophole.
And look, it is really okay to have very different meals from the other people in your household. Catherine and I discovered a while ago, partially because I'm vegetarian, but partially because we like different things and different, weight loss things work for us, or, part of our programs work differently for each other. And I'm afraid none of that made any sense at all. But we make our own separate meals almost all of the time, and it has worked out really well for us. And I know it can be uncomfortable, and I know it can be hard to get started, but it really is okay. And we just time it so that we eat at the same time, and it works out great.
Yeah, and we also did the episode recently called Doctor, where we talked about modifying.
Still don't have that down very well.
No, I don't think it's ever going to happen. It's
Pump
fine.
up the doctor. Yeah.
But make a main food that everyone can eat and then modify it to meet your needs. I know there are certain foods that might be more scarce in this time, which is another loophole we'll talk about. But if you're eating what your, linebacker son is eating who outweighs you by 50 pounds, if you try to eat what they are eating, you are going to weigh what they are going to weigh. So just because I've already had, and honestly, this happens, I ate chocolate bunny rabbit ears this morning because it's a family tradition, and I decided. And
she was eating them. They were white chocolate because our kid, for some reason, likes white chocolate. We don't know what's wrong with it. Makes no sense to anyone at all. And, Catherine's eating them. She's like, I don't even really like these, but I'm eating them anyway.
For family tradition. But then I had an apple, and then I had banana. But Don hasn't eaten anything today, but he's going to eat at 2:00. And then I'm going to be like, oh, it's time for me to eat also because, I want to be part of the thing. So watch out for the pound for pound loophole because it is super easy to invoke that.
And here's a big one. The next one, we are up to loophole number 5.
Number 5. Thanks, Casey.
The fear of missing Oreos, or fear of missing out, or / the also called the buy in bulk loophole.
The FOMO.
And this is such a COVID one, and I fell victim to this one pretty early on, when I first went to the grocery stores and it looked like they were just not going to have stuff. And
by stuff, you mean chips?
Yeah, I mean chips. And then I would see something I liked, some sort of treat, and I was like, oh my God, they might not have this again the next time I go. And so then I was like stockpiling things that I really shouldn't even have in the house. And it did not go super well for me.
Well, and here's the problem with it. One, the FOMO, fear of missing Oreos. I was walking down an aisle and saw Oreos and thought, these are the end of days. Our daughter loves Oreos, and I want her to be happy and cloaked in a creamy cloud of Oreo cream. I wanted to buy her all the Oreos.
Yeah.
Go back to remembering who I am, and I remember that I will eat all the Oreos if I buy all the Oreos. Mm-hmm. So you've got to remember who you are in this. If you're going to Costco and buying a 7-pound tub of Nutella, which they sell because you want to tank up. Yeah. And, when things get really bad, you need all that fat and calories so that you can survive like in the end times. And you're just buying 7-pound jars of Nutella and not 5-pound bags of carrots. That is an eating disorder loophole. That is a COVID loophole because we still cannot control ourselves around those snacks.
You're not stocking up on canned carrots or canned green beans.
Well, but here's the thing. Donald can moderate his chips. And he probably, at one point, we probably had 100 bags of mini chips in the house. Would you say that is an accurate representation?
Okay, it's 75? A little bit of an exaggeration. 75,
do you have a box under the bed?
I do have a box under the bed.
Okay, there we go. I am not as adept at moderating. I can moderate until I don't, is my problem. So having a lot of chips around. I can have
like one ounce bag a day and I'm good.
Not me. I don't want them to go stale, so gotta eat them all. The stale loophole.
Stale loophole, that's not even on the list.
So watch that instinct to want to buy comforting foods in bulk because I know what will happen when my time of the month hits, and look, when I'm stressed out.
It is stressful and we don't know what the future holds, but all indications are that stores will have food, and they do have food, and that we're not running out of anything. Like, it's going to be there. It's a pain in the rear end to go to the store. It can be dangerous even, but they're going to have stuff. And look into Instacart. It's a thing.
There we go. And piggybacking on number 5 is number 6, the Clean Plate Club.
Yeah.
I love eating off of my daughter's
And
plate.
this loophole is that you need to do all of your dishes routinely. Oh, no. I've completely misunderstood the Clean Plate Club. What is it again?
So no food left behind. We are in a situation where we have an imaginary food scarcity.
Yeah.
A lot of us do. And that, like, I'm going to eat our daughter's pizza crust because I don't want anything to go to waste, because in 6 months from now, I'll be kicking myself for not having eaten the pizza crust because now there is no pizza crust.
Yeah.
That food scarcity, tank up now, eat before you're hungry. All of that are things that we deal with in real life and in COVID life, which is now real life.
Yeah.
And using that excuse, that stress excuse, to eat off of your kid's plate, eat off of your neighbor's plate.
Well, and just that fear of wasting food too, and that idea of, ask yourself, is the food that you're afraid of wasting, is it actually nutritious, healthy food, or is it the half a chocolate cake that you have that you can't stand the idea of throwing away because it's wasteful during the time of COVID?
When I was a kid, I would watch Candid Camera at my grandparents' house, and my grandfather hated it. He had some strong opinions, which I get now because I'm grown up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Grandpa. Or Pop-Up, actually. But I never called him Grandpa. But at one point, the Candid Camera, they would throw cream pies in people's faces.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was really funny.
It's the height of comedy, too.
Just classy comedy.
It's so
and
sophisticated.
My grandfather hated it and would always do the, like, there are starving children in Pick a Country.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is stupid. I don't know who. I don't know if I actually talked like that at age 5, but I was always like, okay, Pop-Up, if there are starving children, I'm not going to ship them cream pies.
Yeah.
Like, they're not getting piles of cream, and that's their problem that's going to be solved. But now, as a grown-up, I also realize that eating Ready Whip right out of the can is not the solution to my COVID problems.
Yeah, that is not the thing that we're going to be worried about running out of, is not Ready Whip or Oreos.
Yeah, again,
or
it's
our
not
chocolate cakes.
It's not a victory garden we're building. It's definitely a shelf-stable world of palm oil treats that probably are not going to serve us health-wise. So watch out for it.
Now, you folks would never know this, but I'm going to confess to you that I feel a little guilty about bringing up the next one. This is number 7.
Number 7!
Because I actually am wearing stretchy pants right now. We're calling this the Lycra Loophole.
Lycra Loophole. So stretchy. I'm here to tell you that stretchy fabric is an unreliable narrator of your caloric intake.
Yeah. If your stretchy pants are still fitting well, that does not mean that you're not putting on a few pounds.
That your pants aren't fitting well. I am wearing jeans, which
I'm telling myself that I'm wearing stretchy pants because I'm about to exercise after we're done with this.
Well, and in your case,
true.
it's true.
Yeah.
I am wearing jeans right now. And it is actually sort of making me be like, I'm not going to do yoga today. I'm already wearing jeans. So I'm going to have to go back into my Lycra
Oh, man.
gear.
It's like the reverse Lycra loophole. The jeans loophole
The jeans. Billie Jeans is not my Lycra. There we go.
Oh, my God.
Well, we got nowhere to go.
Oh, my God.
I do not apologize for that.
Oh,
I do not
wow.
apologize.
Oh, man. It's going to take all my strength not to edit that out.
You can edit it out. It's fine. But wearing stretchy fabrics, going braless, which I would never consent to. I don't think I've gone braless since maybe the Reagan administration.
Yeah, my wife enjoys herself wearing a bra.
My wife enjoys. Anyway, I think it is critical right now to dress for the job that you want. If you want to be a person who can fit into their day clothes.
Luckily, I want to be a beach bum.
They're going to meeting clothes.
The job I want is Hugh Hefner, so I'm just wearing a robe all the time.
See, I was thinking more of who is it? The crazy guy who ended up wearing tissue boxes on his feet.
It was Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes.
Yeah.
I don't want to be someone who is wearing plastic bags for clothing in 6 months because I have let myself wear stretchy clothes. When the stretchy clothes get tight, you know that it's getting bad. But on Thanksgiving, we talk about wearing stretchy clothes so that we can tank up and eat all the treats.
Yeah.
But if you're a month into stretchy clothes, might want to go back to the form-fitting cotton, might want to go back to the dress slacks. When we start dressing from home, wearing sweats or pajamas, that is danger because those clothes, those comfy clothes lie to us. And if you're listening to this, it's probably because you have issues with controlling your habits. Lycra lies.
It definitely does. And it's a delightful fabric, but maybe not one you should live in all the time.
Well, and we get our fitness in first thing in the morning so that we can change out into normal going to meeting clothes, even if we're not going to meeting. So watch the Lycra, watch the stretch, because your calories will also stretch to fill the container. Don't they say that? You, like, if you get a bigger house, you fill it. If you're wearing stretch, you're going to stretch.
You get a raise and you spend up.
Yeah, you spend up.
Spend up to the raise.
So watch stretch.
Speaking of numbers, the next one is number 8, and we're calling it the Quarantine 15.
The Quarantine 15.
And,
it's inevitable.
This one I actually did have a little something to do with coming up with. And when I get on social media now, you know, you got your Facebooks,
your
and
TikToks,
your Instagrams, and your Twitters, your TikToks. I like that. I didn't actually even know what you were saying at first. And there are so many people out there who are just admitting out loud that they're putting on a bunch of weight while this is happening.
Well, and they've said, I've seen it on the news, like, oh, well, you know, the freshman 15, I'm putting on the quarantine 15, yuck, 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 as though it is an inevitable circumstance.
Yeah, and I think that looking at that, I think that there is a danger in seeing other people putting on that weight. And even if you have not put on any weight at this point, you're seeing other people do it. And that might give you permission to go ahead and add 15 pounds. What's 15 pounds? What's
15.
5 pounds? What's 10? You know, and I don't know how many times I've said it on this show, but if you're stuck in a hole, one thing you don't want to do is to dig that hole deeper before you try and climb out of it. And we don't know what life is going to look like after this is over, but at some point, it is going to get back to some kind of normal. That normal may look exactly like it did before COVID-19. It may look different, but one thing that we do know is that there's going to come a point at which we want to get back to our health and fitness goals, that we're going to want to get to our goal weights, that we're going to want to be able to walk up and down stairs when we're older. We're going to want to keep our mobility, and we should not put ourselves into a deeper hole right now. It's not an excuse just to let yourself go. It's hard not to do, but it is important to keep in mind that you're not on vacation. This is still real life, and that weight is still real. It's not some fake imaginary like COVID excuse weight that is just going to evaporate once this is over.
Well, and it's not island time. Like, we, you know, and Gretchen Rubin talked about that. Like, it doesn't count because I'm on vacation, or it's a holiday week. We don't know what the new normal is going to be. We don't know what the new circumstance is going to be, but we let social media dictate and inform us on how to form our own opinions. I hear other people are doing virtual happy hours with their colleagues. I haven't had a drink with a colleague in 5 years, but suddenly everybody else is having the, you know, cocktail hour. We should drink also and have cocktail hours.
I was talking with a good friend who I hadn't spoken to in a while. And we were on the phone for a long time, and he basically said to me that you know, he and his girlfriend don't even go to the store except when they need more wine. And I was a little bit troubled by that. And I've seen a lot of people kind of, you know, falling into that trap of, well, it's COVID. What else am I going to do except keep drinking bottles of wine at home?
Well, and it's so easy to move the goalpost of, you know, I'm only, you know, usually in the real world, I only drink on the weekends. Oh, but now we're doing wacky wine Wednesdays and, you know, terrific tequila Tuesdays and whatever. And we just have to be very careful about our participation. I think your sister said that she drank like diet cranberry juice and seltzer or something during it.
She was on a work call where they were supposed to be having cocktails, and she just put cranberry juice and seltzer in a glass so that it looked like a cocktail and just didn't tell anybody that it wasn't one.
I said that she missed a golden opportunity to pretend that she was drunk and tell people what she really thought of them, but she's a classy lady, so she didn't do that.
It's also a strategy.
But really watch out those, everybody else is doing it. Everybody else is baking. Everybody else is making home-cooked meals. Everybody else is going, and getting takeout. Be authentic to yourself. Know your gremlin loopholes. Know your canaries that you need to resuscitate, because all of this matters. The goalpost will move. First, it's the quarantine 15. Then you come up with some other rhyme to get you to 30, then 45 pounds. And then you wonder in a year how it all happened. And you can't sue COVID. There's no, small claims court where you can be like, that was COVID. I couldn't help it. It's like, we need to be active participants in our own health, because that's all we have. That's all we have. So.
All right, we're in the home stretch, people. We're at number 9.
Number 9.
And I will let Catherine do the honor, because it took her a very long time to come up with a name for this
We got to have something catchy for everything. So I'm calling this one the zero gains loophole. We want to get
knows
swole.
What gains are.
We want to get swole.
You go to the gym and you lift weights and you get gains.
You get gains. You get swole. You get Body by Jake. I'm pretty sure is what you get. But
pretty sure you do. But right now, 24-hour fitness is open 0 hours. It is actually 0 hour fitness.
Anytime fitness is no time fitness. Gold's Gym is closed. There's nothing that rhymes with gold. So.
We were talking to Catherine's brother, and they even closed the gym in his apartment building so that people wouldn't end up congregating in there. And he had a clever response, which was that he somehow managed to get in there and he rated it for weights and took them up to his own apartment so he could still use them.
But Angie in Wolt Place, WOLT Place, Angie said I could say her name, so I said her name.
Hello, Angie.
It was like Beetlejuice. I just said it 3 times, so I'm imagining she's just going to appear. But she said she is actually a critical worker right now. She works for a medical company, and so she is working, but practicing social distancing. She used to walk laps at the manufacturing facility, and she can't do that now because of social distancing. So whether it's a gym or whether you're still working and out in public, but you can't go on the walks that you're used to, you can't walk around the hallways, you can't walk up and down stairs to go to the restroom like Donald did when he was working in an office.
Yeah.
We can use that. My gym is closed. My hallways are closed. We can use that as an excuse to no longer follow our healthy habits.
If we're being really honest with ourselves, sometimes we want an excuse not to do our exercise. And the fact that the gym is closed or that I can't do my normal routine can be a really great excuse. But I have some bad news for everybody.
Wah, wah.
There's still lots of exercise you can do. I've actually been, boy, I'm going to sound like a real braggart right now. I've actually been getting more steps because I have fewer responsibilities right now because of all of this. But we have our rebounders, which are mini trampolines that I can use in front of the television while I binge stuff. We've got a flight of stairs in our place I can walk up and down. There are all kinds of videos on YouTube, many. I've even done a little bit of yoga, which I never do, and didn't even think I wanted to do because of Catherine doing yoga based on YouTube videos.
Yeah. And we talked to my parents yesterday, and I mentioned that one of the people that my stepmother follows, Walking with Leslie, she has the videos or DVDs that they actually have a YouTube channel, and she can just follow them on YouTube and do all the newest routines. So please find ways to keep movement part of your habit.
There are many out there, but we love the Fitness Marshal, we love Cassie Ho's Blogilates, Walking with Leslie, Yoga with Adrian.
Pop Fitness has a bunch of different stuff. But here's the thing with, and we've said this before, anything you say, if only I was at home, I would be able to work out. If only I didn't have the, office treats that, Jerry from accounting would bring in, then I could lose weight. If only I.
Like there's that whole thing I used to say to myself, if I could just get arrested and go to prison, then I would just, read books from the prison library and work out in the yard. And in a sense, we're kind of all in a bit of a prison right now, and not to make light of that, but and a lot of people have all this free time, and you have to admit to yourself, maybe I was lying to myself when I said that I would just work out and read, if I actually had a bunch of free time.
Right. So find ways at home to get out of your chair. I have an hourly alarm set on my Fitbit. I have a morning practice with a neighbor, actually, where we both do yoga with Adrienne each day, and then we check in on each other to make sure that we've done it.
Yeah, she's got a month-long series with amongst all of her videos with a different yoga video for every day of a month.
Yeah, so I'm doing that right now. I'm getting accountability with friends. I'm getting up every hour from my desk because I work from home. So it's very easy to stay sitting, but it's so critical for our outlook and for our physical health just to get in daily movement. So you can do that at home. You can do that with your kids. If you have kids, you can watch silly videos. We were actually rebounding and listening to ABBA yesterday with our daughter.
Yeah, that was fun. And that was her idea too, which was great.
I know. I tried not to pay attention to it because then she would stop doing it. But
as Sir Isaac Newton said, an object at rest tends to stay at rest, but an object in motion tends to stay in motion. And that's physics, people.
He also said something about an object getting gains, stays getting gains, something like that. It's lesser known.
Eating apples that fall on your head or something like that.
So watch that. My normal habits are shut down. I can't. Figure out what you can do because it all matters.
And that brings us to the final loophole.
Ooh, I wonder what it is.
I wonder
Let's build
what it
tension.
is too, yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. We're calling this Loophole X. Dun, dun,
wow.
dun. Ooh, it sounds dangerous.
Loophole X. What could it be?
Everything sounds better with X.
Yeah, it really does.
Generation X.
Professor X.
Professor X. Preparation H. Or no, X. No, that was a different one.
That was completely no.
The Alan Parsons Project.
Alan Parsons Project. There's no X in there. There's not even a letter in that.
No, but everything X sounds better.
It does.
So this is actually sort of the more serious, overarching, serious situation of COVID.
Yes.
We are depressed. We are anxious. Everything we do has COVID in it.
Yeah.
Everything is seasoned with COVID. Every choice we make, every cake we bake, every leaf you rake, it is the COVID experience.
Yeah.
And I'm, yuck, joking about it.
You tried to get serious and then made me laugh.
Sorry. We tried to be earnest with our daughter this morning, and she was like, stop it. I don't want to talk about feelings.
Yeah.
So,
she didn't like it at all.
We definitely deal with this with comedy. But everything we're doing is uncertain right now. Jobs are uncertain. Society is uncertain. The economy is uncertain. And everything we do is flavored with this experience. And for those of us who suffered depression, as I know I do, it is coming out in unexpected ways. It's almost like a helium balloon. My depression, or my mood is in one direction, and I can be blown by the wind by just a single Facebook post, a single comment, a single text.
Yeah.
And I can suddenly have my depression manifest in unexpected ways every day. And all of that affects my willingness to work out, my eating habits, my mood, our relationship being cooped up together for a month.
Yeah.
And all of it is uncertain. And so we want to see that as its own loophole. We can invoke eating out of, it's basically stress eating or emotional eating. All of this is a COVID experience, and everything is washed in that color. And being aware of that, being, gentle with yourself, but also not giving in to your old nature, which was that person who just ate and drank and sat to quell their emotions.
Yeah, there's a fine line to walk right now between understanding that this is stressful and this is different, and you have to be kind to yourself and practice self-care, but not allowing yourself to fall back into eating complete, bags of snacks, directly without your family knowing about it. And not falling into those bad habits of using this as an excuse to skip the exercise and skip the movement and to just eat and drink.
Right. So for me, having a daily practice, not an occasional practice, but a daily practice of doing yoga, a daily weekday practice of doing arm workouts with Donald, getting in our rebounding steps, monitoring when I eat, trying to, continuing to track my calories. It can seem so overwhelming, but in a time of uncertainty, what I am certain of is that food still has calories and steps matter.
It sure does.
My health is all I can control in a society where there are furloughs and there are layoffs and, the government is giving us different news about, sheltering in place. Schools are uncertain. There is a lot going on, and it is valid and it is something to be concerned about. But what I can do is control what I eat, what images I consume, what podcasts I listen to, the food I eat, and how accountable I can stay to myself. It all matters.
I think that is a great way to wrap this up, except that I've just thought of the secret loophole 11, which was we said we were going to keep this episode short before we started recording it, and it is super long.
Oh, I didn't. How long is it?
So if you have, right now we're pushing an hour
really?
Right now.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Well, it's kept me from eating. So it is Easter, and I may have eaten our daughter's chocolate bunny rabbit ears because that's part of the history of my family.
Exactly. So if you've listened to this whole episode, we really appreciate it. If you're listening to weight loss and fitness podcasts, especially ours, during all of this, we applaud you. It can't be easy with all of this going on, but we super, super appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this episode and wouldn't mind going to Apple Podcasts, which I know seems trivial in these times, but leaving us a rating, preferably 5 stars, and a quick review, it really helps people find us. It helps get the word out about the show, and it really, really means a lot to us. We do read our reviews, and we appreciate you all very much.
Yeah. If you want to send us an email with any loopholes that we've missed or any things that you have gotten through in COVID that you can give us some tips to pass on to our listeners, give us an email over at weonlylookthin@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at weonlylookthin.
And also Twitter, although I don't remember the last time I tweeted, which is which is my bad. And if you would like to get a little more support during this and would like to find out some information about our support group called Wolt Place, you can go to weonlylookthin.com and click on the Join Our Support Group link.
Yep, it is a support group for women. We're really leaning on each other right now for support in this time. We even have a member hosting live Zumba classes in our group right now, which is awesome. So it's been great fellowship for people in this time where we're all isolated. It definitely makes me feel less alone. So give us a try.
And me as well. So if after listening to this, you still can't remember the difference between being super loopy and a weight loss loophole, just remember that Catherine and I are
an inspiration.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.